Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and tonight I'm joined by Dana. She's really dead this time.
For real.
We
Right.
are back talking about Dawson's Creek. Tonight we're discussing episodes 19 and 20 of season 2. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get right into it. So, episode 19 is titled Abby Morgan, Rest in Peace.
I hate to say it, but this episode, it got a tear out of me. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I did sleep. One came down the corner of my eye a little. I was like, oh damn. This is a little clumps.
So, Dawson and Joey, it's the same night that they were catering that wedding, so they're still in their cater clothes. But they're back together and they're making out outside his house, all the way up her ladder and into the window.
Dawson could not keep his hands away from Joey at all. He was a red tea.
I guess if things got hot and heavy, they were gonna do it, but
That is what I was saying. I was like, whoa, Dawson.
yeah. But out of the corner of her eye, Joey notices that Jen is sitting at the edge of Dawson's bed in the dark, crying, and can barely speak. And through her tears, she mutters what happened with Abby, that she was drunk, hit her head, fell, and drowned, and she's dead. And I did take note that Joey was the one that sat next to Jen and put her arm around her and was comforting her, and I was like, I will take my breadcrumbs where I can, my girls.
This is it. You and I both were like, this is how it happened. Joey's there for her. And they're gonna be best friends. It's gonna happen. Finally. I was right there with you. I was like, see, this is why they're supposed to be best friends.
This is
And
why.
okay. And I was like, I'm thinking just Jen don't need this. Jen don't need it. She don't.
So the next day at school, everybody's kind of processing the information. There is a grief support group where Jen and Andy, I think those were the only two that we know that were sitting in that circle, are sitting. One girl's already like trying to make a profit. She's selling like armbands in honor of Abby's memory to make some kind of money off of this.
Woo! Yeah. Oh man. That's all I can't be like, what? Why did that happen?
So there's a grief counselor, and Jen doesn't want to speak. And then she asks Andy if she wants to speak. And Andy just says she's in shock and she's still processing how someone so young could die. She may have said some other nice things, which kind of sent Jen into like, I have to get out of here, and she ran out.
Yeah.
So Andy runs after her, and she basically says like nobody cared about Abby before, and Andy says that Abby rejected her many times, and she kind of like flips it on Andy and says, "You rejected her when you kicked us out of that wedding," and she died. So now Andy's the type of person that takes everything on.
Yeah.
So of course she's gonna think it's her fault.
Jen was on a rampage. She was full grief mode, like just holding no prisoners. I mean, like Andy was talking about her Abby's spirit, how it was a wild spirit. So she was being very generous to Abby, to be fair.
Right.
And Jen couldn't handle it. And she was on edge, like literally, and rightfully so. I mean, can you imagine being with your friend and them drowning in front of you? And she doesn't handle grief well because she went on with her grandfather. It's like, no.
I laughed because in the cafeteria, Dawson and Joey were kind of whispering about it, and I loved how Joey was like, "I didn't like her." She's like, "I actively." She said something like, "I actively despised her."
mean, I think it's what how my sentiments kinda were when at the end of the last episode, I was like, I mean, that sucks, but well, like, damn, but that's all
Yeah.
you can keep doing if you felt so I felt her on that. Oh my god, and
Um,
ugh.
Andy and Pacey are out, I think, at a coffee shop or something, and they see, Abby's mother, who recognizes Andy from that morning that she drove her home after Abby spent the night on the front lawn at Dawson's.
Mhm, mhm.
And she asks Abby if she wouldn't mind saying a few things at the funeral. And once again, because Abby doesn't know how to, not Abby, Andy does not know how to say no.
I, was cringing. I kept thinking to myself, like, "Oh my god, this is, like, my worst nightmare." Like, in real life, like, being so asked to do a eulogy for someone you barely know or liked at one
At
point, and,
16.
like, at 16, and then trying to desperately find something like, being torn between being real about the
Uh-huh,
person because it is I agree that it is a dishonor to, like, pretend like someone was a real person when they weren't,
uh-huh,
like, why? Just because they're dead?
right,
Like, you know? So, like, and then also not being an utter butthead at their funeral
right.
with their family.
There's a
You're
there's
like,
a there's
"Who
a
is that
mi there's
person?"
a middle point where it's a mix of both.
Yeah, like, also, like, what mom goes up to a random teacher because she heard her daughter say her name once or twice and asks them to say a eulogy? Like, where is your family? Like, why aren't you saying a eulogy? Like, come on, like,
Right.
this is so inappropriate.
Um, so PC and Andy go to our house the next day, I think, because it's daytime. Um, they must have really been shooting outside because it was raining and they had umbrellas, and I was like, they must have been like, "Well, we gotta make this work because this is the shot we need." So
Well, it's a funeral, so, like and yeah, so it's kind of apropos, alright?
Um, Andy sneaks up to her bedroom and finds her diary, and she was just as evil in her private life as she was to people's faces. She talks shit about everybody, including her mother. And he kept saying, "Put it down. You don't want to read it." And she kept saying, "Well, maybe she was having a bad day." And then she read something else bad. He's like, "Oh, maybe just another bad day."
Yeah, yeah, and, like, the way her mom talked about her, it was just kind of like, "Oh, honey, honey, you don't know your daughter, oh, no," and
Right.
yeah, so, like, all that is just so much pressure on Andy, like, I felt that
Yeah.
throughout the whole episode, just nonstop pressure on her. So unnecessary.
Um, Jen is back at the scene of the crime drinking, straight
Mhm.
out the bottle. And she throws like there's like a moment people put like flowers and like wreaths around the dock, and she like throws one of the wreaths over the dock. And then she comes home and I guess she kind of stumbles into the kitchen to see what Grams is cooking, and Grams could smell the liquor, and she's like, "You've been drinking." She's like, "I got news for you. Not only have I been drinking, but I am drunk."
Oh, Jen,
Yeah.
my queen.
So
And that
Grams tries to talk Jesus to her, and she doesn't want to hear it.
I don't know how to feel about this because it's like I know it's because Graham's trying,
Mhm.
to be there for Jen, and Jen is go spiraling. That's really scary to watch from the outside.
Right.
But like Jesus ain't the way. Like if you're trying to get to her, why don't you try some other method? Like it can't
Right.
be just religion is your only ammo to help her deal with her problems. Especially when she said repeatedly, I don't believe in that stuff. It's not my jam.
Right.
And all it does is traumatize her and trigger her all over again. So it's like I'm really torn because there's good intention, but at the same time, it's so, ill advised and also not you're not hearing Jen when she's talking about this stuff. You're, like, blocking it out, which is
Right.
kinda what a lot of those religious types do. They kinda just, "Oh, they don't know what they're saying, so I'm
Right.
just gonna keep going. I'll eventually cave." And it's just like, I don't want Graham to be that way.
Um, at the funeral, Grams comes and sits with Jen, and I did laugh
Mm.
because she was like, "I decided to forgive you." Just the way she said it, like, "I've decided that I'm gonna forgive you."
That's what I'm saying, like, that's a perfect example of what I'm saying. It's like, I think Graham has good intentions, but she literally goes out of her way to trigger this girl.
I
Like,
know. I don't think she's doing it
really?
on purpose, though. I think she's just kind of like,
That's what I mean.
yeah.
There's not ill intent there. There's all the love. She has so love for the girl, you could see it. But
Mhm.
but, like, come on.
Right,
She's on look at her, she lost someone that she was friends with and literally tried to save her life. Like, that's crazy trauma. Like, that
right.
you should give her space, time to grieve and the funerals normally happen, like, maybe what, a week at most after someone dies?
Right.
Like, it's only been a week since this happened, like, damn, guys, give her a break. Jen is going through it.
And, Jen says to her, "That's the thing, I haven't ever needed your forgiveness, I've needed your understanding." So I was like, "Ooh."
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
then the priest, reverend, pastor, don't know what he was, asked if anybody wants to say anything, and nobody gets up at first, but then Jen gets up, walks all the way up all those stairs, and she basically says that Abby was a bitch.
That speech was amazing. I'm sorry. I mean, she let them all have it.
Like, what was your
I mean,
reaction? Were you like, "Ah, ah."
it's like when those types of things happen, sometimes I'm jealous. I'm like jealous or like just in awe and admire the person that had the balls to be able to stand up in front of a crowd and be able to say
Uh-huh,
what is fundamentally true. You know what I mean? Like stuff that people politely don't talk about because it creates a kerfuffle or like an issue amongst people. Like, and Abby's personality was not kind to like
mm,
most people. And it's legitimately unfair to pretend otherwise, like to her memory. And to
yeah,
if Abby was in the room, she would have been talking smack on literally every single person there to
yeah,
their face. Yeah. Right out of the grave. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like if she was there, she would have cheered Jen on during that whole thing, I think. So
yeah.
like I was kind of doing the same. I was like, get it, queen. Tell them they need to hear it. Like sometimes you just need to say the things that need to be said.
So Jen walks
So
back. Ooh, there's an echo.
Ooh,
Can you hear me?
I don't hear it.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it's
can
gone.
hear you.
It's gone
Uh,
now. Maybe it was just a slight hiccup.
oh,
Um, um, so Jen walks back to her seat, and her grandmother gets up. She kind of takes it as a personal attack because she did, bring up Jesus because she said, "What kind of a God would like allow all this suffering?" And so, yeah, Graham walks out, leaves the church. Later, when Jen comes home, all her stuff is being packed and is on the front porch. And Grams is basically like, "You need to live with somebody who you respect, and clearly that's not me." So she's like, "I love you, but you have to find somewhere else to live." And you could tell it's breaking her heart because when she slams the door, she breaks down crying. Jen breaks down crying. When Jen's voice cracks and she says, "Grams, grandma," when she like flat out says grandma, I'm like, "Oh shit, there it goes."
I I don't know how parents do it. I know it's tough love, and that's why I'm saying I'm keep being so torn about this whole situation because it's like there has to be boundary, right, for both sides.
Right.
There's a line that has to be respected on both sides. That's kind of what
Mhm.
I'm thinking. I think Graham's not entirely innocent in the way this interaction happened, but like Jen did not need to say half of the things she said. It wasn't necessary, or as venomous as she said it. And
Well,
there's some truth to that.
Andy makes her speech and says there are people in her life that challenge her and uh, push her to the brink. And she says that Abby was one of those people. So that was a nicer way to say it.
Yeah, that's like, it's the office clapback. Like, there's the professional way of saying someone's a right asshole, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but sure, there's a way to professionally tell them so, and Andy did that. Like, that's what she
Like,
did. She
per my
just
last
showed up and
email.
was, "Yeah, per my last email." Like, but praise Abby, she just told I feel like she spoke from her own true POV. I also felt it was sincere. I don't think it was like,
Yeah.
fluff.
Um, so Joey goes to her mother's grave, and I think there was, like, slight talk about it. This may be the first time that she's visiting since the funeral 3 years ago, 4 years
Right.
ago.
Yeah, her and Dawson kind of have a during that, like, little meetup where she tells him, she's like, "I didn't like Abby at all. She was actually a total jerk." And she talks about how, she doesn't wanna go to the funeral because he hasn't been since her mom's funeral, and she hasn't visited the grave, and the reason why is so heartbreaking. She kinda wants to believe that she will just come back.
Yeah, because
Like,
her dad
it's
came
she
back.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, that she'll just show up because her dad showed up and came back to her, that means her mom might, and, like, she says admittedly that it's, like, ridiculous, but it's like she kind of believes it and go into the grave with, like, that would be, like, it, like, it's official, 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 and I was like, "Oh my god, why are they doing this to me?" Like, it's, like, in the middle of the afternoon, like, coming from my heart and tearing it out of my chest and trying to, like they're, like, cry in the middle of the day, Dana, ugly cry, middle of the day about something that happened in the late '90s.
You just found out.
Like, "What? What?" And then even 3 years prior in the world of the show, it's like, "Oh," like, it was yeah, so I, I thought everybody kinda stepped up in this episode to be good supportive friends.
Um,
Like Joey had her moment and all that.
so at the funeral, once it's over, Jen's kinda got come has a lucid moment, and she's like, "Oh god, what did I do?" She's like
Yeah.
this is before she gets kicked out. Her and Andy are talking.
Yeah, but she knows. But I
Yeah,
feel like she knew. Like,
yeah,
"Oh, I've done it. It's too bad. It's really
yeah.
bad right now." Yeah.
Um, and then Andy brings up the diary. So, Andy ends up making her way back to the house and into Abby's room to get the diary, and she thinks she sees a reflection of Abby. It's too many A's. I keep flipping Abby and Andy.
Alright.
And she, like, whips
What?
around to see her, but she's not there, and that's how the episode ends.
So spooky. Ah, spooky.
I
I
remember the
thought
first time I watched this, I was like, "Are we doing Supernatural? Because that's not what the show is."
I
I
I
like
legitimately went,
Supernatural, but not if that's not what the show is. Don't switch on me halfway.
"No, no, no, I'm still in Dawson's Creek. Jason
Yeah.
Van Riet's still here."
Like, if I wanna see
I
ghosts,
thought
vampires, I'll go watch Buffy, but if I just want angsty teen drama, I'll watch Dawson's Creek.
absolutely. I tried to watch Supernatural. It's so long. Um,
I went
I
really
thought when I
hard. I watched, like, 5 seasons
yeah,
in 2 months, and then I just stopped, and I just never went back.
I it was literally a situation of, like, trying to get into it, and then it just became, like, this very repetitive episode, like a procedural, and I was like,
Mm,
"Okay," so I checked out, and then I realized I went through, like, 2 seasons, and I have no idea what happened in any of them because I just kinda
uh,
went, "Oh, it's on," doing other things, and I was like, "Ah, it
uh,
obviously, there's nothing that's, like, holding me through," but when this
it is
happened with,
it is very monster of the week procedural, I guess, but there is a through
mhm.
line. There is, like, little things that kind of, like, carry over, and then I think
Yeah, yeah,
as they go on, I feel like it becomes more serialized where
it
but
was one of those. things where there's just so many episodes in one season that it
Yeah,
just you lose like, even if they have little breadcrumbs, like, maybe they'll have a little bit in the beginning and one in the
right.
mid-season and then, like, and ramps up towards the end, it's
Yeah,
not enough. Like,
right.
I prefer my if I could get it, my seasons, like, in a nice I like the 12 episode, 13 episode format. I think it's just enough to
Okay.
hold the attention on the same at least similar plot line throughout.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mhm.
But back to Dawson's Creek.
Yeah. But when
See,
this happened, like, this whole thing happened, I gasped, and I thought, "Oh my god, is Abby gonna haunt them in the next episode? Because it's called Reunited?" And I was
oh.
like, "That is so messed up if he just haunts them for a full episode." Oh my god, because that would be something Abby would do, right? She would literally haunt them.
Especially Jen and Andy.
Yeah, poor Jen. Like
But, like you said, episode 20 is titled Reunited, um,
Yeah.
which I got it mixed up. I think last time I said that the next one was called Reunited because we were like, "Are Dawson and Joey back together?" I was like, "It's called Reunited," so but they are back
They can both
together.
I'm
So,
cool with it.
I really like the opening to this episode, though, like, the whole cast is hanging out in Dawson's room watching a movie.
This is our time, Tommy. I said it, I was like, "This is it. They're all gonna be best friends. This is it. We're having a good time. This is our time. They're gonna do it. They're gonna be best friends
I
now forever."
personally love the 90210 references.
Yeah. I was
I know
so
you not
happy.
I know you said you haven't watched 90210 really, but when
Mm-mm.
Pacey
No.
said we're, like, this close to being at the Peach Pit, that's where, like, everybody the diner that they all hang out on 90210. So,
Yep.
I had to kick it, and then the
Mhm.
whole pillow fight leading into the theme song, it was very, like it was a false sense that
Well,
everything was okay because everything was not okay in this episode.
no, it was not, and I know what, you're so right, because I remember being on such a high because I was like I said, "Let's go, Tommy, this is it, this is our time, they're gonna be best friends, this is our Jen and Joey and Andy, they're all best girlfriends," and then Vince, it was just the best, and I was like and then
Jen's in
literally
Dawson's bed, and Joey don't care.
I was like, "Jen found a nice place to stay because you know that house is huge,"
Oh,
and I
that's right,
told
yeah,
her, like
Jen's living there now, that's a big thing that gets
yeah,
mentioned.
yeah. And Gail's, of course, the best mom that's ever lived, and I was just kinda, like, riding that high and then just boom.
Yeah, literally,
Immediately,
torpedoed.
like, it's like Steel Force at Dorney Park. Have you ever been there? It's just basically like this tick, 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 and then just straight vertical drop, like, down.
So,
Ugh.
we come back from the opening credits, and immediately Andy has a new hairstyle. Her hair color is different.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, but
Jack was really funny because Pacey's, like, trying to, like, say the right thing, and Jack's like like, the background.
out the hair.
Um, but yeah, so Andy's back in her, "I gotta study. I don't have time for anything else. I need to study," and she's very like,
Crazy
"I'm on a
mania.
mission."
She's in a full-blown yep.
Last time she
Mhm.
did this, she was like, "I have too many things to do," which means something's gotta go, which means Pacey has to go.
Yep.
Um,
Man, he's put through pieces.
so we then see her by herself by her locker, and we see a guy in the hallway looking at her, and she's kinda smiling at him. What did you think of this at first?
I immediately thought it was a hallucination
You did?
because, he looked like her brother. Yeah, I thought
Okay.
it was her brother. She was his brother. I immediately thought so because, like, she's just acting so erratic, and,
Mhm.
like, the hallucination of Abby, like, at
Okay.
the end of the previous episode kinda led me to think, like and I'm pretty sure, like I don't know if we actually saw, like, a picture, but, like, it kinda looks like, Jack a little bit, like, I kinda could tell family resemblance, so I was like, "Oh, I think this is her brother, and she's kinda having, like, an episode
Did you
because she's
ever
off her
waver on
meds."
that at all? Like,
No,
when
no,
she
I
was in the
always thought
car
it was
crying or anything?
No, I thought it was a like, it was just because she was alone
Mhm.
throughout each interaction. It was
Right.
like, I I guess I've seen too many, like, hallucination, ghostish type stories that I'm always like, I don't know. There's other people in the scene." Like, that's how you always know, it's like if other people are interacting with them, and that
Yeah.
just never happened this but,
I was
yeah, I
trying to
always thought
remember
that it was
how
her.
I felt the first time, and I think they fooled me. But this time, like, I was trying to see, like, how they fooled me. Like, I was, like, very listening to, like, the specific words she was saying and, like, um
Yeah,
but in the car when she was, like, basically like, "Why is this happening to me?" And she was, like, breaking down after the therapist and crying. It was a little weird that she was able to lean over and he was able to hold her if this was a hallucination. That was a little like,
right.
So
Well,
maybe
yeah, I
so, yeah, I was wondering what you thought about
mean,
that.
yeah, like, I thought the same thing too, but it was because, like, I guess for me, like, when she was first walking up to the car, and the fact that we had no idea he was in the car until she was in the car herself and just had to turn over and he was right there. It
Mhm.
felt very ghost-like, like, it was supposed to scare her, but it didn't. So I was
Got
like, "Oh, this is gotta be, like, an auditory visual hallucination that
Right,
she's having because she just became more and more manic, like, as the episode went on.
right.
And I was getting concerned for her because she just couldn't settle. Like everything she just had to go, 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 go and do this thing. She couldn't even hang out with Pacey at any moment. They're just trying to watch a movie. She's like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
And like the way she was acting with her, yeah, and the way she's acting with the therapist, like her therapist was very concerned for her. So
yeah,
I was just like, oh no, she's seeing people now. And that's
yeah.
really
Um
they're trying to tear my ship apart. You're trying to tear my ship, Dobby. Ugh.
So, it is Joey and Dawson's 1-month anniversary. Apparently, they've been together a full month now.
So cute.
So, he has reserved a table at a French restaurant in town. Come to find out, they go there, and his father has also reserved a table, so they lost a reservation because they thought maybe the same Mr. Leary made 2 reservations.
Okay, for this situation, did his dad poach his son's reservation, or was it the other way around?
I don't know, because Dawson said he made it 2 weeks ago, so I don't know. Maybe his dad poached
So
it.
his dad straight up showed up somewhere with no reservation, went and just happened to get one
Right.
because of it just took his son's reservation like that. No problem, had no problem. God damn it. Ugh,
So, Mitch is there with Miss Kennedy, which now that I told you who she is, do you see it?
I do, I do.
Um,
Most
which I didn't remember her sticking around this long, but here we are.
I
Um,
don't know about the end of this episode though, but yeah, definitely for now.
so Dawson is really like first of all, can we just talk about the the use of persnickety in this episode? I was like,
I didn't
what 16-year-old knows what persnickety means? I don't even know what persnickety means.
Oh, that's always been my beef with Dawson. It's just it's the extra syllable for like no reason. But I love how they were like, we're taking persnickety and we're gonna just throughout the whole
Strangle
thing.
it out.
So he's like, you know what? I love the word of this. It sounded like a prank or a bet or a dare or something that a writer is like, I bet you can get
Uses
persnickety
the word
in
persnickety at
this.
least 4 times in this episode.
Yes, exactly. Like, I dare you, brother. Get it.
Um, so Dawson is very cold to Mrs. Kennedy because she tore his movie apart.
Mm.
She tries to explain herself, but he doesn't want to hear it. And Joey pulls him to the side and says, "Can he chill out?" Because she wants to have a nice evening, and him being like this with her is ruining everything. Um, Pin in this situation, Gail and Jen are having a girls' night, and I love this. I love Gail. I like to see Gail like being a girl mom because we've seen her with Dawson, but it's nice to see her like be a girl
Gail's
mom.
Gail's like everyone's mom. Like, she was there for Joey there was that beautiful moment she had with Joey. She told how proud she was, and now she's like supporting Jen, and I love this. Like, it gives me so much hope. I'm like, this is the just them chilling, having a good time.
I almost feel like she's more feels more comfortable to talk about Mitch and, like, her adult problems with Jen. I don't feel like she would talk to Joey like this. So it's like a different dynamic.
No, I yeah, well, Jen didn't grow up with her as an adult figure in her life,
Right,
more as a supportive adult, just a supportive adult in her life.
right,
Like Gail helped raise Joey. I feel like
right,
she sees Joey more as a daughter than anybody, and
right.
Jen is just kind of like this troubled teen that she can help connect and maybe like befriend.
Um,
And also, Jen is still immature. Like, if you ever notice that she kind of like falters in with the adults, like, no problem, because she basically is an adult, to
she
be
brought
fair,
up
but, like,
Mitch, and she said, "Is that okay?" And Gail was like, "Yeah," and the floodgates were open. She just, like, talked about Mitch. Like
whatever.
so Gail ends up burning dinner, and they end up at the French restaurant, so now take the pin out. Um,
And
Joey
play.
Joey and Jen, my girls, come up with a plan to try and get
I
Mitch
told
and
you
Gail
this
back
is
together.
fine.
So
Make
literally
it fun.
10 minutes after Joey yelled at Dawson for being persnickety, she starts being persnickety
Oh, the birds.
towards Miss
Like,
Kennedy.
oh,
And at some point, Miss Kennedy is just like, you know what? I don't need this. And she gets up and she walks away.
eats her up. Every breath she breathed, it was just coming at that woman's neck. Every single syllable uttered was to just be like, bop, 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 bop. I love it.
Awkward interaction or confrontation, I should say, in the bathroom between Gail and Miss Kennedy.
You know? I mean, Gail was basically like, "That's my man," and then the other girl was like, "That's my man," and she's like, "Well, let the man decide," and then just decided to leave. That's literally what that whole thing was like a moment.
So
I'm
Dawson's
about to
confused
claw your
because he's like, Joey, you told me to like not ruin the evening, and then 10 minutes later, and she's like, just wait. Well, her and Jen are both like, just wait. He's like, everybody knows, and he's like, even the waiter knows.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
So
because, like, in the bottle, so, like, as your first sign, like,
yeah,
it thinks it's from Gail, so
yeah.
it's like, "Ooh."
So there's like an instrumental version of the song Reunited playing. So Gail and Mitch dance to it, and Joey and Jen are very proud of themselves.
Who would it be? That was chef's kiss. That couldn't have gone more perfect ever. That's why they need to be a team. They work so good together as a team. They need to be best friends. Like,
They need to
they
be best
would
friends.
world hunger together. They would do anything. They can do anything. It
Oh,
was so good.
I forgot to note a major thing. Um,
Oh,
Gail won an award for that piece that she did with like
over
what teenage girls want, and she's been offered a job
like,
in Philadelphia. So she's trying to decide if
"Woo."
she wants to move to Philadelphia, and then Mitch would move back into the house so that Dawson could finish high
Right,
school.
right, right.
So, um, I think they both kind of realize that they need to move on, even though Gail is clearly in love with Mitch.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
but then we see him. So this is why I'm not sure if Miss Kennedy is still sticking around because it looked like him and her kind of were making up by the docks when Jen and Gail saw them, and then Gail like
Mhm.
walked off upset, and I'm
Yeah.
like, is she coming back? Because I feel like I don't remember at all.
I don't know because they led us to believe that they were reconciling, right,
Yeah.
with the dance.
Hmm.
Gail was convinced of it, so much
Hmm.
so that she told Jen, like, "We're golden, baby. We're good. It's fine."
Yeah.
She was really holding out on deciding because she wanted to make Mitch like, if we get together, I wanna do that over
Yeah.
being in Philly, which is like, I can't. And then, like, um, what happened? crap, I had it and then lost it. That's what happens. Just lost it
I laughed
completely.
because Gail said to Jen, she's like, "Nice job with the whole Parent Trap thing."
Yeah, it was perfect. I remember what I was saying. Dawson clearly tells Mitch at dinner when like everybody's off into the bathroom doing their conniving and then shit talking. Uh, that he's like, listen, mom's got an offer to do something great in Philadelphia. And if you have like even the littlest bit of interest in getting back together, you need to tell her now. Otherwise, she won't be here. And
Right.
so Mitch is aware of the circumstances. So if he is making out with that lady, then it is over. It's got to be over. Like he's
Yeah.
moved on. And
Yeah.
Gail's broken heart. Oh, mom and me.
All right, well, back to your couple now. PC PC and Andy are in her bedroom, watching a movie, I think. They're not studying, right?
Mhm.
And she gets up to go get a drink, and PC
Mhm.
notices under her pillow that she has a family album out, and he kind of flips through it really quick. And she's downstairs talking to Brown. That's what she calls the person she's talking to. And PC comes down and he kind of eavesdrops. And then he kind of storms in like he's gonna like fight this guy, but there's nobody there. So he thinks she was on the phone. And he's
Yeah.
basically like, "Are you seeing somebody else? Are you cheating on me?"
Oh, the writers are torturing my favorite people. I hate it.
So they get into a fight. She sees that he has the album. She tries to pull it away from him and she swings it and it breaks a lamp. And she basically says, "I'm going to bed. You could stay if you want." What? Also, where's her mom? Is she asleep? Is she
I
institutionalized? Like,
guess.
where is her mom?
Well, they said we're gonna get a nurse for her, so I don't know if that meant
Oh,
like
okay.
gonna be with a nurse somewhere else, or if a nurse is gonna be with her. Like, oh, oh man.
So Jack comes home and he's like, "What the hell happened?" Pacey explains. He says she was calling him Brown, and Jack is like, "That's what she used to call our brother." And then Andy's standing there in the stairwell, and she's like, "Because I couldn't say his name, and so I just called him my favorite color, brown." And I'm like, "Oh, is that why she dyed her hair brown? Because it's her favorite color."
Oh my god!
Oh, I
But
remember
like,
what the
what?
fight was because I was like, "What was the fight about the photo album?" It was because Pacey was like, "Why would you change your hair to a
Well,
hairstyle you had 3 years
yeah,
ago?" And I'm like,
right.
"Why is that the subject of a fight? She has every right to change her hair if she wants to. Maybe she liked
No,
that style."
it's the whole situation was more that she got caught. Like she already knows part of her knows that Brown's not really there.
Yeah,
So like she's fighting with like the whole thing, and she gets caught essentially
yeah,
interacting with hallucination, and she's doing everything she can to like look over here. I'm not doing any of this, right?
right,
And when he picked up the album and saw the way she looked in it, he kind of put it together, and he was saying like over and over again, like you've been acting really erratic lately, and like I didn't want to think it was that you were stepping on me. I was thinking it was more. And then she just starts challenging him to say that she's crazy because that triggers her because she
yeah,
doesn't want to be crazy. That's the reason why it's all happening. She doesn't want anyone. She hasn't told anyone because she doesn't want them to call her crazy.
yeah,
And the fight was really about him being like, "Why are you making yourself look like in this photo album where your brothers are in the picture? Like, why are you doing that? It feels like you're regressing
yeah,
what's happening." And then that triggers her more because it's the truth.
and she
And
runs and locks herself in the bathroom,
yeah,
and
yeah,
she's seeing Tim, we'll just call him Tim because it's his name, um,
yeah.
and Pacey and Jack are trying to get her out. She won't open the door. She doesn't wanna give up to him because it's a coping mechanism, I almost feel like, and she feels safe being able to talk to him,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
basically from both ends, they're both saying that she needs to choose Tim or Pacey, and my heart was kinda breaking for Pacey because he was begging her to choose him, and I'm like, "Because this poor guy, nobody's ever picked him ever in his life, he just wants to be chosen."
Oh! I mean, not only that, like, Andy is, like, just, like, having probably, like, the worst psychotic episode that she's ever had, because
Mhm.
she's having both auditory and visual hallucination, and it's her dead brother who she cares about a lot, and she's got her real life. Again, with all that stuff, I'd imagine she questions anything that she can see or talk to at any given time or touch, and now she has, like, the love of her life begging her to choose it. It's like just tearing you apart, like,
Yeah.
just absolute tears you apart.
So she musters up the strength to pull herself off the floor and unlock the door, and she chooses PC, thank God. Well, because through all of this, she even breaks the mirror and, like, she's locked in the bathroom with broken glass, like,
Yeah,
people are gonna be worried that she's gonna hurt herself,
scary,
like,
right,
so,
well, it's scary.
yeah,
I mean, especially after Abby dying, it's kind of this all has triggered a lot of turned up a lot of stuff, like, for
yeah,
everyone, and
um,
man,
and Pacey and Jack they get her to sleep, and Pacey and Jack talk, and he's like, "You need to call your dad. He needs to, like, step up and do something about this and help."
yeah,
Um,
yeah, be a parent for crying out loud.
so Pacey stays by her bed, watches her sleep, she wakes up, and she's more worried about what he thinks about her, and he's like, "I don't care." He's like, "You just need to get better, like, whether it's medication, therapy," like, he's like, "We're just
Yeah,
gotta get you better." He's because he loves her.
yeah. Well, she's just like, "I'm scared. I'm really scared about what's gonna happen to me," and he's like
Yeah,
he's like she's like, "What am I gonna do?" Like, I feel that so badly because, like, when you're in, like, the throes of a panic attack, like, or being panicked and or the throes of anxiety attack, it's like everything's falling,
yeah,
like, full blown everything, and to have someone be there to, like, hold you and say, like, sometimes all you need is someone just be like, "It's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure it out. We're together in
mhm,
this. You're not alone." Like, where if we get you the doctor, you'll get the right meds and the right therapies, and you'll feel better. Like,
yeah.
we will do this, whatever it takes. And it was just, again, that's why easy number one. Oh, why do they keep doing this to this group? They keep like making them go like this, and then oh, we bring it back. This is why they're meant to be together. Remember how great they are. No, oh no, more trials and tribulations. Woo,
So
it's just like no,
last week you had 3 episodes in a row they didn't mess with your couple, plus the one
I
before that.
know,
So you had 4
I
straight
know,
episodes that they were happy, so they really had to come back with a
I
doozy.
know. And they were like, "Nah, we're just gonna literally try to break them apart." And again, like, you keep thinking, like, they're 16. Like, also
Mhm.
for Pacey, it's like, he's 16. Like, this is a lot of
And it's
heavy,
10th
heavy
grade 16.
stuff.
It's not even like it's 11th grade 16, it's 10th grade.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine dealing with someone that, like, those feelings of love are very intense at that time. Like,
Yeah,
you're like, feel like you'll die without this person, right?
yeah,
And like do anything, everything to make sure that they're still with you or whatever. And then the worry about mental health and then the family done. Oh my god, absolutely wild. Wild. Because they're fully adults playing kids.
right. Um, do you have anything else to add before we wrap this up?
Man, well, I think so. Like in the first episode, I really thought everybody kind of stepped up. Like I thought Dawson did a really great job of being there for Joey when she needed it. I think Andy and Jen stepped up to the plate in their own ways to honor Abby, and I think Jen did the best. I mean, Andy did the best she could with Jen. I feel like she kept trying to keep coming back and tell her like, listen, like stuff like this happens. You're right, but like try to get moved through it. You'll be like things will be. It just
Yeah,
sucks that like Jen and Graham just couldn't get back together. But I thought everybody was really good friends to each other. There
yeah.
wasn't a lot of messiness in that
It was
avenue,
a
which
really
has been
nice, fun opening scene before everything went to shit.
yeah. Everybody destroy everything, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's nice to know Jen, like after being kicked out, found some place that she could be safe at
Yeah,
least, and
literally
she's
right
still
next
very
door. She
close.
literally went next door.
Yeah, like exactly. She's
They
not
share a
far.
driveway, I feel
She's
like.
right, but she's not with, like she's not with, like, a place where, like, the people could care less whether she comes or goes. Like, Gail's a great mom,
Yeah.
and, like, I think it's a great way for them to be together, and then, like I said, like, that beginning scene just made me feel so much hope, and, like, the colluding of Joey and Jen was, like, the best thing ever. I mean, like, and I think there's still a chance for Gail and Mitch. I mean, I don't know, there's still resolution till whatever that was happening with Mitch. I think, and
Well,
honestly, it's funny? I could care less about Dawson and Joey. They're just happy, you know? They're just happy, and everybody else's life is terrible. So,
you're like, "Oh, I remember when my couple was happy."
yeah, right? Like,
That was
yeah,
a nice
I
time. That was a
don't
nice 4 episodes.
nice episodes of being happy. Like, they were the boring ones, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it was one of those situations where it's like, "Oh, I wasn't even focused on them because 'cause they're so much in happy bliss and doing funny little jokes and quips and giving each other a hard time." That's all I want for them. I don't want them to be a sad couple that nothing ever happens to, that I could go take a break from all the drama over here to just be like, "Oh, Andy and Pacey. That's but I know they have to do stuff with them that pulls at my heartstrings. They are personally they're personally coming for me. I'm almost certain of it now.
You might be really, really dead next week.
I'm really, really, really dead this time. I can't imagine what more could happen. Things have happened so intensely in these last just these 2 episodes. I can't imagine what the next 2 are supposed to be like.
And they'll be the final 2 of the season. We're finally wrapping up season 2.
No!
Yes.
Like, they're literally gonna
So,
do
maybe
something.
a cliffhanger or 2?
Don't you dare suggest such a thing to me. Ah, because then what are we gonna do? We're taking a break. How am I supposed to know what happens? That would be criminal. That would be criminal.
At lea
You're a
taking
you're
a
a
full
Satan.
we're not taking a full summer break, so you'll be fine.
Alright, I'm just saying. You're gonna tempt me to go cheat.
No, no, it's not the real music.
No, no, it's not the same, but I'm gonna know it's not the same. It's gonna feel dirty. It's gonna feel awful and dirty when I watch it, if I do watch it. Like, I'm so naughty, I shouldn't be watching this. It's not the right music.
Alright, well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Dawson's Creek. Next time you see us, we'll be wrapping up season 2. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps, and until next time, have a great night. Bye.